Good morning all, 4th of October, and back into it with Rugby Chat on Rugby Heartland with Jeff Alley. Welcome back, Jeff. Missed you last week, brother.
Morena, mates. Yeah, last week, we got thrown a public holiday, didn't we? That, we had no say in the matter, so then I had to go and do some proper work on Tuesday, so I couldn't join you, mate. So sorry about that. Glad you missed me there.
I got through it, but a bit of feedback today. But I got through it, and it's all good. We just chatted about life in general and what's going on in the world and the NPC. So, but what we'll do first is we'll have a quick look at pack program today. Do have a special guest for you later, but. We'll have a quick look at last weekend's results in the penultimate round of Heartland Championship. And, the Buller boys, they are scoring the points, but are getting outscored, going down by 44 points to 30 to King Country down at Westport. But one of the things I found about that game was in about the 40th minute, I believe it was, or earlier, there was one young James Lash came off the coach's bench and came on for Buller. So it's quite good to see the coaches coming on, but it's a bit of a worry when the coaches have to fill the spots. Your thoughts? Would you?
Well, we saw that last week or 2 weeks ago with the Silver Ferns against Jamaica, didn't we? Where they had their coaches were named in the team, but there were a bit different circumstances there, I guess. They sort of had no real options. Yeah, no, that's a bit of a worry when you've got Heartland Championship and you're scraping for players like that, and James Lash has to go on now. Just correct me if I'm wrong. Was he originally a West Coast lad, James Lash, or has he always been Buller?
No, Buller. No, definitely a Buller boy. He's a record holder for Buller, most points in games and stuff like that. So and then he moved up to Tasman and played for Tasman and all that. So. No, he's from that Nelson Buller region, and I'm sure, he's definitely a good player, and he played pre-season for them as well. So he was all legit. So it wasn't like they're pulling in someone out of the blue.
I don't think it's that they're dragging some 50-year-old off the bench who hasn't played for 20 years. So I'm sure he wouldn't have let them down at all. And interesting with that result, because we've never really talked about King Country, and all of a sudden they're being the dark horse there. They're sneaking up and getting some wins, and now they're top 4. So, they'll start to figure into that equation.
Oh, totally. I mean, the thing was, they started off really slowly and stuff. Big game for them, though, this week when they take on North Otago. North Otago went down there in pre-season and sort of touched them up a little bit. North Otago walked away with a 26-24 win. But that scoreline was due to a very late try by King Country at Taupo. And basically the winner of that game, it's a quarterfinal, will be in the top 4 for Meads Cup. So, plenty to play for in their centenary year. And then in saying that, North Otago, they had West Coast last weekend and got up 26-19 at Oamaru. And from all accounts, it should have been a draw at full time. And then I quickly said to my contact, no, it wouldn't be because we've got that stupid golden point thing. And he went, I thought we were going to get a draw. And I went, no, there had to be a winner. So North Otago sort of held on, but by the reports, West Coast were giving them a challenge from a team that's 0-7. And yes, I'm getting it from all angles. I've had 3 managers, 3 radio stations, all saying to me now, how's West Coast doing, Kev? Because I picked them to win the bloody thing, and they're 0-7. Hey, I've got to have a down year one year. I'm allowed.
At least you're honest. At least you're honest, mate. You could have been sweeping it under the carpet and avoiding the subject like the plague, but you're owning up to it. So good on you, mate.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't want West Coast to lose this weekend, but I'm hoping they do. So at least I can go, oh, well, I picked them to win and they were 0-8, But no, I'll still hang out for the Coast boys to get up this week. We'll have a look at this week's games in a minute. The other one, though, was the Bruce Steele Cup in Levin, Horowhenua hosting Wanganui. Now, this was an interesting game, watching that one. Horowhenua actually got out to a 14-point nil lead after about 5 minutes. Someone forgot to tell Wanganui the game had started, I think. By half time, it was I think it was about 30 points to 14 to Wanganui, and they took the victory 49-28. So they are really starting to hit their straps now once they sort of decide, oh, the whistle's been blown. So they're guaranteed a home semi-final in Meads Cup along with South Canterbury. And Horowhenua, they can still make Lahore Cup, but they've got a tough travel to Te Araha this weekend. So in saying that, God, I'm pretty good at these segues. Poverty Bay got their deserved second win of the season against Thames Valley in the mud at Gisborne. And a shout out to everyone that probably doesn't know, but I'm actually been hooked in to help Poverty Bay again after a 4-year hiatus. So plenty of history work to do there. And I know you're right into your numbers, which I'll get to in a second. But for those watching from Poverty Bay, I am in the process of capping every player since 1890. I think I'm up to about 1940 odd now. So be on the lookout for that. Every player will have their own individual number. The reason I say that before I jump into the final two games of last weekend's Heartlands, you had a special moment at North Harbour last weekend, Jeff. What number did you get?
I didn't get there, mate. I didn't get there. We had family turn up, and we just had we had a breakfast planned, and so no, I didn't get there, mate. So I'm going to have to put my presentation off for another time, and it's a bit disappointing, but mate, it's just as what it is. I didn't get there, mate.
Oh, they didn't even give you a heads up on what number you were?
No, I still don't know what cap number I am, but I could probably find that out with a quick text message, but just never got around to it. That was busy, and then obviously you're straight into work Monday. Public holiday Monday. But that was a bit disappointing. But look, North Harbour's they've been on fire, and we'll talk about them later on.
In a minute. Yeah, well, we'll move to Ruatoria now. Mighty Ngāti Porou held on in quite weak conditions up there last weekend to beat Wairarapa Bush by 20 points to 16. And in doing so, for the summer, are the holders of the Bill Osborne Tionga. So huge congratulations to Ngāti Porou East Coast. They are now having their best season since 2012. And a victory this week would see them definitely host a semi-final. But the table is such, they could still end up ninth, and and we'll break that down in a minute, because the last game of the round is the juggernaut of South Canterbury. Started off pretty slowly against Mid Canterbury at Ashburton, but walked away comfortable winners by 36 points to 13. But if we have a quick look at what the games are this weekend, so we've got Thames hosting Horowhenua, we've got Wanganui hosting Mid Canterbury, South Canterbury hosting East Coast, which just goes to show how important the victory was for East Coast last week. Now they've got to travel down to I'm unsure exactly where they were going now. Hang on, I do have it here. Geraldine, the powerhouse of South Island rugby. Wairarapa hosts Bulla. King Country, of course, are hosting North Otago, and West Coast are hosting Poverty Bay. Now, this is how it stands. South Canterbury and Waikato. Waikato, I got Waikato on the brain. South Canterbury and Wanganui, top two, they can't be beaten. They'll be hosting the Meads Cup semi-finals in 2 weeks' time. Then you've got Thames Valley on 25 points. Okay, so they'll be travelling to somebody. But in saying that, it could, if this is how the tie break works in Heartland, the first result is head to head. So if Thames lose to Horowhenua and King Country pick up 5 points, Thames and King Country would be equal on 25 points. Thames would go ahead of King Country because they won the round robin. But if North Otago lose to King Country but pick up 2 bonus points, they will end on 25 points. So we'll have 3 teams on 25 points for the 3rd and 4th places in Meads Cup. What happens then is that because all 3 have played against each other, it comes down to point differential. And at the moment, North Otago would go into 3rd, and I'd say Thames would probably drop to 4th, which would mean a trip to Timaru, or wherever they play the semi-final, because Timaru ain't open at the moment. So there's still plenty to play for in Meads Cup to find out who's going to be travelling to South Canterbury and Wanganui. But then we get into the Lahore Cup, where it gets a bit more tricky. Teams from 4th through to 10th can still make that middle 8. And so if Poverty Bay get a bonus point victory at West Coast, they can go to 16 points equal with Buller. Buller, though, if they beat Wanganui, Wairarapa Bush, or pick up a bonus point, that will save them. That will put them on 17 points. But if Horowhenua beat Thames Valley, that throws apple in the cart, because that will mean Buller would need to get at least a couple of points to be ahead of Mid Canterbury and East Coast. So the calculators, in what I'm saying, will be out in force this weekend. So it's so great that a competition though can go to the final round, and we've still got several teams in play for 4 spots. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's been a nightmare to pick that competition. I think if we looked at us over the last couple of months and the predictions we've made, I'd say we'd be lucky if we got 50%. It's just you see a team like North Otago run up 80 points, and then they lose the next week. It's like Buller, I think, were the same. Very just hot and cold. I think the only 2 consistent teams have been South Canterbury and Whanganui. So they probably deserve 1 or 2. As for the rest, I mean, who knows? So, I mean, this weekend, all I'm going to do, I'm just going to pick all the home teams. That's the way I look at it. The home teams are going to win every game, and seems to be the way. These teams just don't like to travel. But on another note, it's a great competition because they've got 12 teams, and you're playing each other. Whereas in the top side, we've got a championship, we've got a premiership, we've got 2 pools of 7. Why can't we just go to the top 14 and just do what the NRL are doing, for goodness sakes? Play home and away. Put the emphasis on EPC. So again, we've ranted on about that at the formats all the time, but Heartland, I think, have got it down pat. They play that round, then they go straight into a semi-finals, finals situation. Great competition.
Yeah, and the good thing is too, they don't play everyone, but they have off years. Like this year, Wanganui might play East Coast. Next year they won't. And then the next time they play, it might be, if Wanganui hosted East Coast, the next time they play in a couple of years, East Coast will host Wanganui. So they all getting their turnabout, and plus it also changes it up as well. So because I know for a fact, like a few of the West Coast boys, they enjoy their North Island trips. They enjoy the trip up to Ruatoria. That's one reason why they do it. And so, I mean...
Yeah, well, I stand corrected there. I do see that they're not playing each other once. So again, it just goes, oh no, what have I said? No, that's so you got 12 teams, but you're only playing 8 games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but then
I take all that back.
But then you look at the NRL. Do they play every team?
Yeah, they do. They play every team. I think they play every team twice.
And then don't they play the odd team 3 times? Or am I thinking of football?
No, you might be thinking of football. I'm pretty sure that the
Yeah.
NRL play each team twice, home and away.
Oh, okay. Or in the Warriors' case, or all away.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But that is a
um,
season-long comp. They don't have to deal with international, well, some international league. There's no other competition. It's just purely NRL. So whether that would fly here in New Zealand, I doubt it.
I know. I mean, they want though the content for TV, right?
Hmm.
And remember everyone, I did put it in the chat. If you've got any questions for me and Jeff, and you think we're talking shit, just tell us. Because if we have a look at the NPC, I did pick Hawke's Bay to beat Tasman last Wednesday, so that sort of got them going. But then on Saturday, we'll start off with your boys down in Invercargill. Don't they like oysters?
Yeah, I think they did. They had some on Friday night.
Well, it sort of backfired on Southland then, didn't it?
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, no, North Harbour just man, they're on fire. I mean, they ran up the points against Northland, so yeah, they're hitting some good patch of form, and so it'll be a real stormer against Auckland, hosting Auckland, Battle of the Bridge quarter final.
Yeah, well, I mean, they go on about the back line of North Harbour. Is it as good as it looks? Are they that
Uh,
slick?
they are slick, and you got to look at someone like Daniel Halangahu, the coach. He's a very technical coach. He breaks down the attack, the lines of attack, your depth of running, dummy runners, work off the ball. It's not just getting the ball and passing it. There's a lot of things that he breaks down there. So he's a very intelligent coach. Having said that, too, it's the old adage: you only as good as what your forwards can produce for you. And so Ben Afiaki, Steve Jackson, they've done a great job up front. They've got a mongrel forward pack that goes forward, and then they can unleash that back line. And the continuity is really good there with Harbour. So again, they're the ruck. They distribute the ball quickly. They seem to have a really good structured game plan. So they're coming into a real good patch of form. So Friday night against Auckland will be an epic game. Certainly be watching that one with interest.
At
I
the
might even
National
get off
Stadium.
my ass and go to the stadium and watch it.
At the National Stadium. I hate that, mate. I really don't. I don't like the National Stadium moniker because
What's the
they
national
never
stadium?
asked me.
Who says that?
Eden Park. Eden
Oh, is that what they
Park.
call
You
it?
see it everywhere. It goes New Zealand's National Stadium. I'm going,
Oh,
yeah, well,
you really don't like
Eden
Auckland, do you?
Wellington. No. But, it's sort of like, did we have a vote on it? I mean, wouldn't Forsyth Bar or Christchurch or somewhere else? I mean, just because it's in Auckland, does everything have to be Auckland? So it's just, But talking about Auckland, they got up 38-24 over Taranaki. They seem to be hitting their straps, and they had RTS on the wing.
Yeah, they tried to say that was nothing to do with an All Black selector's phone call. I might beg to differ there. I just think, when you got, and I wouldn't say it's a log jam in midfield, but you got Anton Leonard-Brown injured, David Havili injured, Quinn Tupuaia injured, and then all of a sudden you're down to your fourth midfield back. And I guess if you throw Jack Goodhue in there as well, you're probably down to your fifth midfield back, and they go and convert Geordie Barrett from fullback. So that puts RTS at best at number six ranked number 12. So he's got to be scratching his head thinking, what more do I have to do? So I'm assuming that there's been a bit of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Auckland put him on the wing, see how he goes. There could be, a spot maybe out wider there for him. If you remember at the beginning of the season, I predicted that they'd probably use RTS as a fullback wing. And then Wendell Saylor comes out during the week, the Australia double international leaguey union legend, just saying, hey, look, it takes some time. It'll take him a couple of seasons to get to learn the intricacies of the game of union, that instinct that you grow up with. We've grown up with rugby since we were 5 years of age. We know what to do. Instinctively, we know what to do. He's having to come in from a background I know he's played union as a kid, but basically he's been ingrained rugby league for the last few years. So we've got to cut him some slack. But having said that, I thought I'd seen enough of him to get a starting role at 12 or even some extended time off the bench at 12. The All Black selector's obviously thinking something else. Possibly now there's an avenue there for him out wider. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see where they start him on Friday night.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose we've got the All Blacks 15 team to look forward to, seeing how that goes. Not happy about that, but I'll get back to that one later. Canterbury, though, went down to Forsyth Bar and snuck away with a victory against a determined Otago side, 27-21. It's going to be hard to beat Canterbury if they host the final this year, isn't it?
Yeah, they're the outstanding form team. Consistency is the word that we use all the time with Canterbury. You think you might have them on the ropes, and and Canterbury may play a bad game, and then they can still pull out a win. That's the big thing. So they've proved their consistency. They've proved their consistency over the years, actually. So look, if we had to put our houses on it, I think we'd have to go Canterbury to win another title.
Well, true. And so we've picked up our first question for today. So we're East Coast now. Are they in the Meads Cup? From Clarence Campbell. Give you a moment in the sun. There you go, Clarence. No, not yet. If they can beat South Canterbury in Geraldine, they've got a chance. But at the moment, they are looking like they are going to be a home semi-final in Lahore Cup, dependent on other results. I love using that word, dependent on other results, because it saves your butt. So thank you for the question, Clarence. So then we'll look at Northland, and hey, isn't William Maranga beating the drum? I see him all over social media now. Taniwha on tour. They host Manawa too. And now they've got and beat them by 41-24, having a great season, Northland. They're in the quarterfinals, and now they've earned themselves the prize trip of a trip to Canterbury. Is it the end of the road for the poor Taniwha?
Oh, look, you never say never, and that's the beauty about it, is they're going down there with nothing to lose. They're going to be a massive underdog. So look, if I was the coaching team and I was all the players, I'd be having a lot of fun at training this week, and if you go down there preparing to just do your best and just say, hey, look, we're going to have a great game here. We can target this, we can target that. We've got nothing to lose. Let's try something different. Let's throw the ball around a bit. Let's upset them. Well, they're in with a shot. Absolutely, they're in with a shot. But as I said to you, if it came down to it and someone said they're going to hold a gun to our head, you have to put your house on this game. You're going to put your house on Canterbury all day, every day.
Yeah,
the Taniwha.
And then the mighty Wellington boys travelled up to Pukekohe and got a huge victory over them by 64-31 in a very high scoring game. Asafa Umua scoring 4 tries. Apparently, the first person off a bench in Bunnings NPC to come off the bench and score 4 tries. And also the first time a Wellington player has scored 4 tries in the game since Jose Gear back in 2009, which I had pleasure in sharing with him last night, and he went, "Wow, that's true." So he didn't realise that he had been the last person to score 4 tries for Wellington, the current East Coast coach. But Wellington are making every post a winner at the moment. I mean, after the victory last week against who? Waikato, that's right. I had fun with that last week. And so, I mean, sort of like they just seem to be playing with a lot of flair and or something. And even though TJ is not in the All Black setup at the moment, he has definitely brought some more leadership to the group. But a few of the young guys are coming up and stamping their mark in the Lions jersey at the moment. And of course, they not only ended up with the shield, they've won the Jonah Lomu trophy. They've wrestled that back off counties. So that's probably one of the largest ever trophies you see, a big number 11. So congratulations to them. And then, I suppose you have to say it's the match of the round, Waikato Bay of Plenty. What a topsy-turvy game that was. I thought the Waikatos were going to get smashed in the end, but they literally stole it at the death. Your thoughts as a Waikato man?
I saw that. I was just shaking my head because Bay of Plenty had already earlier in the season touched up my North Harbour team, and they played very well that day. And very underrated team, the Bay. And so when they started putting the points on Waikato, I thought, "Oh, these guys are the real deal." And so I just got back from Whakatane. I'd had a long drive, been down to watch my son in a Māori rugby league tournament down there. Came back, turned on the TV, and saw Bay of Plenty spanking my Waikato boys, and I thought, I'm going to go and have a spa. so had a bit of a rest, came back in, and all of a sudden I was like, whoa, what happened there? So I didn't see that last little bit, unfortunately. All the family were sending messages on the family chats. Obviously, they're staunch Waikato supporters. So, yeah, great win. But again, that's a big rematch, so it's anybody's game, that one.
Oh, totally. And I mean, it's sort of like we've got the big rematch this week now in the quarterfinals. Just before I hit there, I'll just bring up this question here from Sahar asking about South Canterbury. Now, I have been in touch with South Canterbury personally to ask them where the finals would be held, because I was at South Canterbury Fraser Park earlier this year. And yes, it's all under refurbishment because they have pulled down half the ground. At this stage, they haven't decided where a semi-final or possible final will be held at this point, because they have to make sure they have all the correct infrastructure in place for A, big crowds, and B, television. So just watch this space, and as soon as we find out where the semi-finals will be held, we'll have it up here on Rugby Heartland. So I feel like, and yes, here's the answer to your question, but this is what we're here for. Hopefully we can bring you the answers. So we look at the quarterfinals, Battle with the Bridge. It's not at the National Stadium. It's at North Harbour.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. What are you talking about, mate?
Oh, well, there's so many games in my head, I can't remember exactly where. It's amazing North Harbour aren't saying another National Stadium. I'd actually prefer North Harbour to be in the National Stadium. It's a nicer looking ground. And it is. I love the grandstand and everything. I just think it's a nice looking ground. But North Harbour at home to Auckland. I have to go North Harbour.
Oh, that's a first. I don't think that's the first time you predicted North Harbour all year. Is it just because you hate Auckland so much?
Yeah.
Look, I mean, even if we weren't staunch, even if I wasn't a staunch North Harbour man, and just looking on the outside and just analysing it, I mean, the form team coming into this is North Harbour. They're at home. They played Auckland in the first round, and I thought they put up a bit of a fight, and Auckland sort of came from behind in that game too. So look, if I had to put the house on it, I'd put it on North Harbour.
Yeah, well, so then North Harbour by 10.
Yep.
I'm going to go North Harbour by 14. I just got a feeling at home. Doesn't matter how many All Blacks they all bring back. I think they will want to, put them to the sword at home. Yeah. So, yeah, and it depends on the weather, because, it's a beautiful day here in Wellington today. Apparently, we're getting snow tomorrow. It's just like the weather's crazy, typical spring weather. And I don't think we've had snow here for 15, 20 years. So that's how apparently the storm's going to hit us tomorrow. But so it depends on the weather, because on Saturday afternoon, we've got Wellington hosting Hawke's Bay. And I've seen the cheeky message from the Hawke's Bay guys going, how about it, Wellington? No, it doesn't work like that. You don't get to play for trophies in quarterfinals or semi-finals. So, sorry, Hawke's Bay, but it's here for the summer.
You had your shot. Your one shot. You had it. You lost it.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. So I think Wellington will be too strong for Hawke's Bay at home. They've just been on fire. They're on a roll. They're, I think, 7 games straight. Winning breeds winning, as we all know. So I think, given the weather conditions and unsure exactly where we're going to be with the weather, I think Wellington will get up. And then, of course, I did see our friend William, who's a watcher of the show, with his Tanifar on tour. He's now conflicted because does he fly to Christchurch, he said, or go to Auckland for the World Cup? And then he goes, maybe I have to start watching Northland football team because they only travel as far as Waikato. So I can see him on a plane going down to Canterbury because he's such a staunch Tanifar supporter. But yeah, I think we're both in agreement here that Canterbury will get up and do the business.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. I think you'll find that I'll go the 4 home teams again here as well. So obviously Wellington, Canterbury. Yeah, I just can't see them being beat. That's a given. And then I'll choose Waikato over Bay of Plenty as well.
And that's on Sunday at 2:00. So yeah, Waikato Bay of Plenty. Well, I have to go Bay of Plenty. I just have to, just to make it more interesting for next week's chat. So Waikato. Oh, hang on. Got some breaking news for you, Jeff. Okay, hang on. I'll just bring it up. So, Jeff, I have a message for you. This is the 1950 South Canterbury team with the Ranfurly Shield. Will they get it again this year? Well, a chance next year, should I say. I guess we have to wait to see what happens in the Heartland Championship. Here is the South Canterbury team in 1974 with, yeah, you guessed it, the Ranfurly Shield. I don't have a Waikato one because Waikato don't hold the shield. I believe it belongs to Wellington. Or does it? Or is the Rabbit Man gone and nicked the Ranfurly Shield? So, as you can see, it is the real McCoy. It is the original log of wood. And a big shout out to the Wellington Rugby Union for letting me have such an awesome taonga in my presence. And so, Tama, so you get a chance around Wellington to get your photo with the shield, whatever, please do. It is the most important trophy in New Zealand when it comes to rugby. And just very privileged to be having it here in the studio. So again, thank you very much to the Wellington Rugby Union and for letting us have this opportunity. And yeah, I'm going to be spamming Facebook with this, but all good. So there you go, Jeff. Your thoughts. I'll cut away now and I'll let you sit there and shake your head. So there you go. Don't you just love live TV? I had the sound muted, but
yeah,
there you go, Jeff.
I was sitting there, I texted you, and then I'd see your messenger. I was like, dude, you're muted. What are you doing?
I had it all set up and ready to go. I had Clarence Campbell saying no sound. I'm going, hey, so I had to redo it. But hey, that's the beauty of doing something live. But yeah, so
awesome.
Unfortunately, I filmed that last week. But really, thanks to Wellington Rugby Union for surprising me and bringing that around. Had a good 1 hour with it. Just in awe of the trophy. It is engraved, and in the words of the president, we thought we better get it done because we might only have it for 6 days.
Good confidence.
But yeah, so that's our special guest for the day, the loggerwood. Yeah, very privileged that I got to spend some time with it. And as I said there at the end, it will be travelling around over the summer, I'm sure, to all the rugby clubs and places around. So
you're like a little, it's like your proud daddy there, mate. It's but it is cool that shield. Just what you held in your hands there is just rugby history. It's I remember watching Waikato beat Auckland at Eden Park when Arthur Stone got the runaway try, and I was a young 14-year-old there, and just throwing my Waikato scarf out the car on the way home, and that triple on the motorway with all the Waikato supporters. Yeah, just never forget it. And then being in all the Mulu parades before the games in 1981 when they defended the Shield several times and lost to Wellington. But yeah, those memories, stick with you, and the passion that they call it the Shield fever. It really is. I mean, possibly lessened somewhat in the professional era, unfortunately, but obviously you can sort of still see that passion there with most people. It's a pretty cool shield, isn't it?
It certainly is. And it's actually surprisingly heavy and stuff like that. But of course, first played for first handed over by Lord Ranfurly in 1902. And then the first challenger to win it was Wellington against Auckland by, I think it was 6 points to 4 or 6 points to 3, one of the two. But Wellington won it. But yeah, you look at all the shields around the side, all the great teams that have gone on and won it, and it's just, it's just history personified. It's New Zealand rugby over the last 120 years. And so to be having that opportunity was just magic. I mean, I did meet Ranfurly a couple of years ago when I went up to Hawke's Bay for the East Coast game, but I had to go to Napier to see it. I'd never thought in my life I'd have it sitting on my couch in my lounge. So that was pretty cool. But the only problem I have now was we had 3,500 people at that Waikato game for the Shield. 3,500. Let that sink in. We've got a 35,000 seat stadium, and we had 3,500 people at the game. Sure, there was circumstances around that game, where there were other games on. The All Blacks were playing, the Black Ferns were playing, and all this. But really, you can't see many more. Maybe 8,000 coming up. Yeah,
we're too apathetic, aren't we? I mean, we're just too apathetic. And again, I'll put my hand up and say I'm very similar. It's like Friday night, my beloved North Harbour team's going to host a quarterfinal against Auckland, Battle of the Bridge. And I'm contemplating whether I'll go or not. It's 5 minutes down the road because the easy thing is, and the cheaper thing is, stay at home, rug up on the couch, grab a beer, toilet's just down the hallway. I can pause, I can rewind. Too easy for me, rather than go to the game, you struggle with car parking, probably got to pay for car parking, pay to get in the gate, pay an arm and a leg for a beer and some hot chips, and then sit outside in the elements. And if it's going to rain, you're going to take an umbrella or you're going to take a jacket, and then you got to get home. So, again, it's apathy, man. It's too easy for us to sit at home and watch it on TV. Back in the day, crikey, you didn't get live broadcasts like that. You had to go to the game. They were up in the trees. They're crawling over the top of houses, on roofs of houses to get a glimpse of the game, weren't they? And times have changed, mate. Times have changed big time.
Yeah, well, totally. I've got Clarence Campbell asking here also who's in the top four of Meads Cup, and I love the questions coming through about the Heartland Championship, because that's where our passion is, of course. Currently, South Canterbury Wanganui guaranteed home semi-finals. Then, as I said earlier, Thames and North Otago, but that could all change. And the current Lahore Cup, we have King Country, East Coast, Mid Canterbury, and Buller. I see there that Clarence, you've asked if West Coast are in the Lahore Cup. No, West Coast at the bottom of the table, propping it up. Their season is done and dusted. Same with Wairarapa Bush, but Horowhenua and Poverty Bay still have mathematical chances of making Lahore Cup at the expense of probably Mid Canterbury and Buller. So still plenty to watch for, and we'll sort that out. Thames, I think, definitely are guaranteed Meads Cup. But they will be travelling to either South Canterbury or Wanganui, dependent on results. Right. So lots of questions, and thank you, Angelica, for helping out Clarence there with your answer. And you are correct at this stage. Right. So I'm still buzzing about that. Ranfurly Shield. And I was hoping you'd shake your head and you'd love it. But I've been sitting on that for a week. I've been wanting to tell the world, but I'm going, no, I can't, because I don't want Jeff to know. I just want him to see it. So anyway, I'm glad that's all over and done with now. So big time this weekend, though. We have, of course, the Rugby World Cup starting. What do you think?
Oh, man, I'm excited. Excited. I mean, every true rugby fan should be excited. This is huge. This is it's huge for us, and hosting the women's Rugby World Cup.
Problem I'm having is it's on Spark.
Yeah.
I know TV3 are going to struggle, but when you're seeing things, but when you're seeing things on online, ITV England are bringing every Home Nation game live, right? They're bringing delayed coverage of other games. America, book your parties. We've got this on CBS. I think it's actually a pay channel, but it's like Sky, but it's available to everyone. I can't even think of the name of the bloody channel now. But in America and Canada, it'll be live. Australia, it'll be, I'm guessing, on Fox Sport over there. When is the New Zealand Rugby and World Rugby going to pull the plug on Spark?
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, if I look at it from a purely business sense, you don't really want a monopoly on anything. And why would you want Sky to have a monopoly on all the sport? They can charge whatever they want. So competition in any aspect is good. But it is frustrating because, so my parents, for example, elderly parents, they love their rugby, but they're in a retirement home. They can't afford to pay for Sky and for Spark Sport. They just, well, they probably could, but they probably just would have go without a bit of food for a couple of days, But it's just, I can see where people are getting frustrated. Not only that, Spark Sport to me has been traditionally really unreliable because it's a streaming service, and you've got to then have a Chromecast or the equivalent. You've got to have an HDMI cable or something. You've got to be able to cast it to your TV. Or if you just want to watch it on your laptop, I mean, that's not exactly great viewing either. So then there's extra cost involved with that. HDMI cables, Chromecasts. So it is frustrating because they're trying to sell the game and they're marketing it, etc. But by the way, you can only watch it on Spark. And then, as you said, they're only playing it at Eden Park. They're not spreading the games around the regions either. So again, I commend them for trying and for trying to build it up and etc. I've got Spark Sport. I got that at the beginning when the Black Ferns were playing in that quad series. I got it then, and so I've had it since. But whether I keep it after this Women's World Cup, probably not, until something else comes up maybe. I watched the US Open on Spark Sport, but it's like competition's good, but this is our national rugby team, but we should be free to air. But again, the rugby union would be like, oh no, we won't make money out of that. We need to make money. The bean counters, the fish heads sitting around the table, we've got to make money. So I don't know. What do you do? What is the right answer?
Well, the thing is, and I see Clarence say, I just stream it pretty much, or go on to the Sky Go app. Well, one, it's not on Sky. And then two, Clarence has said, or just go to a live match instead. I'd 100% go to a live match. But for me to go to a live match from Wellington, I have to either drive my expensive petrol car or fly on an unreliable Air New Zealand or Jetstar, get to Auckland, get accommodation, get tickets, get from the airport to the ground. I mean, why? Because it's Rugby World Cup Aotearoa -Auckland. They should have had the game, at least some of the games in Wellington or even Christchurch. There was 3 pools. They could have easily spread this thing around, but for cost, they've kept it in just Auckland and I believe Whangarei, which is, great for Whangarei. I mean, they deserve it because, they've always been left out in the cold. But I suppose my point being is it's such an international event that, for example, in England, if there is an event of national importance in sport, it is free to air, either on ITV or BBC, right? That there was words a few years ago about Wimbledon going to pay-per-view. Outrage. There was the Grand National Steeplechase was going to go on the pay-per-view racing channel. Outrage. So they actually brought in the FA Cup final. That's all on pay-per-view now. But the FA Cup final in football is still free to air. So, my point being is that there's a lot of these sporting events would need to really look at what the occasion is. Now, I'm not saying Sky get Rugby World Cup, but TV1 could have, TV3 could have, Prime own, Sky own Prime, so probably wouldn't be on Prime. So it's either TV1 or TV3. And again, sure, it's great to see delayed coverage, but that means none of this for 2 hours. Don't look at your phone for 2 hours because you'll see the result. You just will. So you literally have to go, right, I'm going to turn off all my devices and then watch the game as if it was live. So, but the other thing is too, they're all going on about the 30,000 seat sellout on Saturday at Eden Park. That is my next big gripe. A 30,000 seat sellout. How many people fit in Eden Park?
Yeah, 55,000.
So please, can all media stop using the word sold out, because it will not be sold out. End of story. I don't care how spin doctory you're going to get. This is my chance to, because this is my show and I can say what I want. I'm just sick and tired of this sold out thing, because if you put the word sold out, Are you going to go and look for a ticket?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
you're not. So, it doesn't matter how. I mean, if there were 30,000 tickets sold, great. I might go down. It'll be a great atmosphere. If I see 30,000 sold out, oh, well, where do I watch this on TV? It doesn't take a rocket scientist. So, anyway, so Saturday we'll kick off with. I'm looking at Rugby World Cup here, but it's not making sense to me here. Oh, yes, it is. So we've got South Africa playing France. You'd have to say that was a big win to the French. First up at 2:15. And then we've got Fiji taking on England, who are the raging hot favourites for the World Cup. I wouldn't be surprised to see Fiji touch them up a little bit with their physicality. What's your thoughts on that?
No, not at all. It's not like the Fiji Sevens team where they're training all the time. Their fitness level's gone through the roof. I think this Fijian 15-a-side team will just get absolutely smoked by England. It'll be night and day. It'll be embarrassing for them. Sorry to say, Kevin, but the good thing is on that first day we'll see the top three teams in the world play, so we can sort of get a gauge of where France and where England are. And then obviously with the Black Ferns playing Australia as well.
Oh, totally. And then we've got the big game, Australia, Black Ferns. I've got the jersey. I said that to our good buddy and pal, Chelsea. She said, get out there, get your Black Ferns jersey. We've done that. So, yep, brought the jersey. So I'll be wearing that on Saturday. I think we're going to see something special. I don't think we've seen what Wayne Smith and Graham Henry have got in play. I think they're going to release the trigger, as they say. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I agree. Totally agree. I'm 100% behind the Black Ferns. I think that that they've got something that they've certainly come on and leaps and bounds in the last 12 months. Obviously, from that Northern tour, there's been a massive shake-up of players and managers, coaches, etc. And it's all or nothing now, isn't it? Everything's coming to a head. So really, really looking forward to it. And there's some outstanding, exciting players in that Black Ferns team that I really look forward to watching play. And so it all kicks off, and hopefully we're due some good weather starting Thursday. So it'll be a nice fine day Saturday. There'll be no excuses there to throw the ball around and play some good, open, exciting rugby.
Well, that is a good point too, because hopefully the weather does stay good, and because I mean, by the time New Zealand and Australia take the field at 7:00, you've already had two games on the same field. So we don't want to see a sudden downpour like you get in Auckland, chew the ground up, and then by the time you get to the match of the day, all three matches are match of the day, let's be honest. But I'm also hoping that the ground holds its consistency. And what I'm really hoping is out of these 30,000 sold out tickets, they're there from game one. It's going to be very disappointing to see empty stands with the South African French ladies going head to head in the early game. I mean, if you've got tickets, be there. Be prepared to be somewhere for 8 hours at the Rugby National Stadium, because
no, that ain't going to happen, mate. I'm sorry to say. I hate to be the spoiler but seriously, who? I mean, you're going to get some, but man, you got to eat. You got to. It's just I don't know, man. It's 8 hours. I mean, you're sitting there at 2:00. You be longer than 8, really, wouldn't it? You want to get there probably 1:30, 1:45, 8:30, 9:00. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's a long day.
What do you
really.
do at the sevens?
What's that?
What do people do at the sevens?
Yeah, but at the sevens, you're up and down. You're out the back. You're partying. You're meeting your mate over in the stands, and then you go back. You watch 10 minutes of a game, and then there might be another game that you're not interested in watching. So you go out the back again, and you sing and dance. I mean, You know, you're going to sit there and watch an 80-minute game. I don't know.
Okay, so here's the shout out at next year's World Series Hamilton Sevens, people. If you're at Waikato Stadium and you see Jeff Alley out the back singing and dancing, please get it on video because we'd love to show it on our show and go, gotcha.
I'll be in disguise. No one will recognise me, mate. I'll be in my uniform. Go incognito. So no one can video me.
Yeah, look out for a chiropractor. And a car. Do you have a uniform?
What do they look like?
Oh, polo top.
What do they look like?
I don't know exactly. What does a chiropractor uniform look like? But yeah, so and then of course on Sunday the games continue with up at I think these are up in up at Whangarei. So we've got the USA taking on Italy. Well, you'd have to say the Americans will be far too strong for the Italians. But the Italian women have been going quite nicely, and we haven't heard much about them. Japan, Canada. Now, this is an interesting game because, you know, both have had topsy-turvy pre-seasons, if that's what you could call it. But you'd have to say the Canadians over.
Yeah, you'd have to say the Canadians. I mean, I think we read too much into Japan beating Australia earlier in the season, and we thought, oh, actually, but you know, we know that Australia are a lot tougher than that, a lot better than that, and then of course the way that the Black Ferns dusted up Japan a couple of weeks back. So it should be Canada, and Canada by 20 points. I'd predict. I mean, Canada to me would be probably at this stage number 4 in the world. If that's the rankings are correct. I'm not too sure what the rugby rankings are. You'd know that, Mr. Statman.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Yeah. Good. I'd say be Canada 4 and USA 5, if I'm guessing.
Yeah. I believe it's England, France, New Zealand, Australia. I think it goes, and then Canada, USA.
Because I thought Australia got beaten twice in that quad series. They got beaten by both Canada and the USA.
Yeah, but not much difference in the movement. Yeah. From memory. And then of course that rounds off at 6 o'clock. Wales, Scotland. So a good UK battle there on Sunday. So in theory, William can go to Christchurch and then fly back to Whangarei to watch his games at his beloved Oniwa, what's it called? Seminoff Stadium up at Whangarei. I would lean towards Scotland there. Now, I'm unsure exactly of the Scottish team, but if it's the team I believe, there is an actual young lady there playing for Scotland who grew up in Reefton.
Oh, well, there you go. Got to support Scotland then, don't we?
So we have to support Scotland. Exactly. So, I just saw a message here. I'll put it up from Clarence. Kevin, I think you should go live and do a game at the World Cup if you can do a live show. Well, I'd love to do that, but unfortunately, I don't have $5 million for broadcasting rights. So you'd say I'd get shut down pretty quickly doing that, unless I go VPN. Oh, that could be an idea. But then Mr. Zuckerberg will then hit me up and then shut us down. So, we've been there, done that a few times. So, it's all to look forward to. We've got final round Heartland, and then we'll know who's where. We've got the quarterfinals of the NPC. We've got the Women's World Cup. And then on Sunday, I believe, Sunday evening or Monday, we have the All Black teams to be announced. Any bolters for you?
Bolters, no, none. I can't see. I mean, this is the whole thing, I guess, with what's happened is we've established what would be considered Foster's top 15. We've probably seen what the probably top 19 or 20 are if there's a couple of little injuries. And then the rest are just outside that squad there. So unless there's been some bolters in the NPC, which I can't really see. I mean, Mark Talia was dragged in as a cover there. I know in the Irish series, he's been playing outstanding for North Harbour, but then who would he come in for? I don't think there's any other injuries in the outside back. So I think he'll stick with what he's used, and I don't think there'll be any more experiments. Possibly another lock. I'd love to see them go with Josh Lord and give them Tupo Avai, give them some more game time, because Whitelock and Retallick, I mean, they're just getting a bit too old in the tooth, and one of those guys goes down, all of a sudden we're a bit short there. But certainly, I think we've established who our top hooker is and our top front row, and then we've established who can come on and replace them. I don't think Cody Taylor's done himself any favours. I'd say that Dane Cole's got that number 2 spot well and truly. So yeah, no, I don't think there'll be too many bolters, or if any. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's really been outstanding that would deserve an All Black call up, and replace an existing person in that squad.
Okay, so before we jump into who will be in this All Black 15, because I really want to have a rant about that, got a question here from Nikolai. I'm guessing this is via our Rugby Redefined page, asking about Romania. Will they win any games? Now, at the World Cup, Nikolai? No. But there's got to be some questions asked. World Rugby pumping heaps of money into Spanish rugby, and the under-18 European Championships are on at the moment. And we've just had a quarter-final where the final score was Spain 102, Romania 0 in the under-18s. So how about instead of, Spain have been kicked out of 2 World Cup qualifiers because they played ineligible players. World Rugby still wants Spain to go well, and there seems to be a lot of money being pumped into Spain. Your thoughts about where Romanian rugby is, Jeff, or do you have any idea?
I just go back to 79, All Blacks won 14-6 or something like that, and Romania rugby was very strong, and then I think, I can't remember what happened there. Was it a civil war or something happened, and then they just disintegrated, and they've been rebuilding ever since. So look, I'd love to see Romania strong again and competing. I'd love to see all those second tier, third tier nations just get the funding and get the competition, and I'd love to see a global competition where there is promotion relegation, so it enables a very good Romanian team coming through to actually get promoted up to be able to play the All Blacks again. At the moment, the All Blacks won't play Romania again in my lifetime, unfortunately. But they certainly did 40 years ago, and it was a hell of a test match.
Yeah, well, Maureen, to you as well, young David Newton from the coast. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the unfortunate thing with Romania is, they lost a lot of players in the revolution. It was in the days of Ceausescu, and unfortunately, when that went belly up, they lost a lot of players during the war. And it's very similar to where we are at the moment with the Ukraine. They were trucking along quite nicely. Unfortunately, they've lost a few players during the current conflict there in Europe. So, but yeah, I think Romania will be fine. We were looking at the under-18s result. They are being at the World Cup will be really, really good for them next year. And of course, they also have teams in what they call the Rugby Europe Super Cup as well, with Bucharest, etc. In there. So I have good thoughts about Romanian rugby rebuilding its brand, I suppose you could say, and always look out for the Georgia versus Romania games. They have 80,000 people go to those games every other year. It's the Bledisloe Cup of Europe, really, between Georgia and Romania. It's a big, big game, and it's said 80,000 people. So, we think it's big here. It's huge, even in those smaller nations. But to end the show, I do want to have a crack at this All Black 15 team that's to be coached by Leon McDonald. They're playing Ireland 15 and a Barbarian side at Tottenham Hotspur football ground. I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand why they're calling them the All Blacks. I understand the marketing. I understand the bean counters, but it's not the All Blacks. It
Totally
is
agree. I agree, mate. It's a New Zealand 15.
Yeah. So, I mean, are we going to see guys like Fabian Holland picked? Some of these guys on the outer, are they going to bring in young guys for this, or are they going to bring in guys that are outside the top 30 of the current All Black team to just so they can have a run around? Stephen Perifetta, for example, TJ Perenara. Are we going to see these guys in that team just in case they pick up injuries? Because isn't it amazing how they're sending a second squad? And then if we get an injury, well, they're there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We've got to understand, what sort of depth are they choosing from? Because, you look at someone like Fakatava, the halfback. I mean, he should be a starting halfback for this New Zealand 15. But then the All Blacks will go, oh, no, we need 3 halfbacks with us. And so poor old Fakatava is going to be sitting on the bench again getting bloody sores on his bum because he's not playing any footy, whereas he should be starting for them. Stephen Perifeta's another one. I'm just trying to think. Braden Ennall's another one. You get guys like that who are Shannon Frizzell. So what's how many of the All Blacks going to take? Is it 30? And if they take 30, is it going to be 2 15s? Or you know what I mean, two lots of 15, or are they going to take 3 hookers, 3 halfbacks, maybe 1 here? So we just don't know. I mean, to me, look at the hooking situation. So Chalkiahe has obviously cemented himself as number 1. I suggest that Dane Coles would be number 2. So then Cody Taylor should go and start for the New Zealand 15 with possibly someone like Al Moore or Kurt Eklund there as well. But if the All Blacks want to keep 3 hookers, then we're going to be starting the 4th hooker for the New Zealand 15. So it does get a bit confusing.
I know exactly where David's going with this, with Leon McDonald as the coach. Are they prepping him for your buddy Fozzie?
Yeah, but then why are they not giving it to Scott Robertson? So is it that much of a giveaway? Is there that much competition? So has Leon McDonald aligned himself then with Ian Foster and NZRU, and Scott Robertson's been pushed on the outer because he's, I don't know. Surely if they're going that way, they'd be putting Scott Robertson as the New Zealand 15 coach, would they not? Are we all working together for New Zealand, or are we in a bit of a competition, internal competition here?
Well, Scott Robertson is the coach for the Barbarians, and is he going to put in a request? Yeah. Is he going to put in a request to the NZR to have TJ Perenara be the captain for the Barbarians against the All Black 15?
Yeah, true. No, I forgot about him being the Barbarians coach here. My bad.
Does that not make it even more interesting? Who's the better coach, Leon McDonald or Scott Robinson in that Barbarians game? Does the winner take the lollies or what?
Nah, it's a one-off game. You can't. Realistically, yeah, it'd be nice to sort of say that, Barbarians beat New Zealand, or New Zealand, it does. It's a one-off game, and Barbarians in true Barbarian style, they'll probably be going out for dinner during the week and throwing the ball around, etc. And I don't think Scotty Robertson will have time to install his mark on that team, and likewise with Leon McDonald.
And likely, and also I totally agree with young David here. Yeah, grab a couple of the good Heartland players and throw them in the New Zealand 15. Why not? Cullen Grace began at South Canterbury and he became an All Black. So we've got Ben McCarthy kicking goals from everywhere. We've got Sam Briggs, 80-odd points in 6 games in Heartland. You've got some Jacob Lowe scoring tries for a losing team at West Coast, right, left, and centre. There's.
Don't you have your Heartland team anyway?
Yeah, but who are they playing? We've heard nothing.
So what are we doing here? Are we going over there to play the Barbarians in a proper game, or are we just going to just hand out jerseys to people because they've played well for a Heartland team? Come on, man. We got to pick our best players, and we got to get some depth there. So if you've earned your spot, you earn your spot. You don't just get thrown in there because you had a good game playing for West Coast one day. Come on, you got your Heartland team. You got your Heartland team. So what more do you want?
Well, I just think you're still bitter because this is spending the summer in the wonderful Wellington, which is probably a good way to end the show. We've gone over time a little bit today, so yeah. See.
Yep, I see it, but I see it. What is it?
So anyway, if you missed it earlier, just scroll back in the repeat and you'll see the lovely balls up I did with no sound, but then we fixed the sound. So basically, I think we've sorted out World Rugby again. I think we've decided on we'll dive into who the quarterfinal results next week. The semi-finals go Wellington this weekend. I'm sure, go North Harbour, go Waikato. At least I pick one team and go with it. I don't have a foot in two camps. And we'll also have a look at the All Blacks and New Zealand 15 teams that were announced. But otherwise, God, we can talk shit.
Good show. Beautiful.
Any parting thoughts? No.
All good, mate. Right. No, go North Harbour, go the Black Ferns.
Definitely
go King Country.
In centenary year. So until next week, signing off, Kevin, Jeff, see ya, and we'll catch up with you all next week. Bye.